Wholesale can be the best thing you ever do for your small handmade business, or it can be the thing that breaks it. Let's talk about the real pros and cons. And at the end of this video, I've got a little surprise for anyone who's actually going to give wholesale a go. Hi, I'm Rondelle. I run my small handmade business, Rondelle Designs, from my studio down on the Mornington Peninsula in Victoria. I sell artwork, ceramics, and products that I've created using my artwork. So greeting cards, bookmarks, other types of stationery, keychains I've just launched, which I love. So there's a mix of handmade as well as produced items. I have done wholesale in my handmade business with previous product range, and I did it for quite a few years. And I've just launched last year wholesale with my new product range, which are my ceramics products, my stickers, my greeting cards, and other products based on my artwork. And I want to share with you the lessons I've learned from selling wholesale so that you can make the right choice for your business. So let's talk about the pros and cons of wholesale. First of all, the pros. Okay, so the best thing about wholesale is that you get this big chunk of an order in one go. So with retail, obviously you're selling either online or at markets or other ways, direct to consumer, and which is amazing, and I'll always do that. But it obviously is lots of smaller sales, generally, depending on what you're selling. Whereas wholesale, you get one big order for usually hundreds or sometimes thousands of dollars, and you get that chunk of money all in one go. You ship your products out and you're done. That's the best part about wholesale. I love it. And I love seeing products in the shops. So there's nothing more exciting than seeing my products on the shelves in a retail store that I love. I'll never forget the first time I was stocked in a shop. It was a beautiful shop down in Blairgowrie on the Mornington Peninsula. And seeing my products with my little name tag on there in this incredible gift and homeware store was just something I will never forget and I'll treasure forever. It kind of makes you feel like a real product designer. It's weird. And having your products in store is actually another marketing avenue for your business, because obviously with your product, you generally will have a price tag or a little swing tag or something that says that that product is made by you. And often you'll have your website address on the tag as well. Not only are the products being sold in the shop, people might see your tag and then just go directly and shop with you online. And thirdly, my favorite thing about wholesale is that it really gives you credibility as a business. I really think when a shop is wholesaling and you've got products in store, in retail, bricks and mortar storefronts, it just gives your business a credibility that maybe not all businesses have, especially small independent handmade businesses. When people see your products in store on the shelves, then they're going to trust that you're an actual genuine business. Now, the cons of wholesale, there are a few. Obviously, you have lower profit margins. So if you decide to do wholesale, you really need to do your pricing that is going to give you enough margin that you're still actually making money when you're doing wholesale. And that was one of the problems I had with my last product range that I used to sell wholesale, which were organic wheat bags that featured my artwork. I was hand making everything. I was getting the fabric printed locally. I was buying organic wheat because I wanted it all to be sustainable and beautiful and wonderful, which was great, except there really was not enough profit margin in there to make it viable. Even though I did run that business for quite a few years with that product as my main product, it really wasn't growing profitability because the costs were quite high for that product to be manufactured locally by me. The other con, especially if you're a small handmade business, is that you have to have a higher production volume. I'm in the middle of this as we speak. If you saw one of my recent videos where I took you to Life in Style, which is a really big, beautiful trade show that happened in Melbourne, I actually ended up at the last minute adding in more of my little ceramic vases, which I will show you. So originally when I decided to do Life in Style, the trade show, I was going to only sell a small amount of ceramics because last year I did a trade show and I got quite a few orders, and it was for my whales, ceramic whales and fairy houses that I make myself, and I got really overwhelmed and started hating making them, and it reminded me of the old product I used to make, which were the wheat bags. And I was just like, what am I doing? This is not what I want to do. So this time around with this big trade show, I was only going to sell my tiny little mini vases, my little mini mushrooms, and my mini fairy houses. Why? Because they're really quick and easy to make, and I can pump out quite a few really quickly. But in the 11th hour, literally about 2 days before the trade show started, I thought, I'm paying all this money to do this trade show and I don't have enough products. So I was really worried about the product range that I had to offer to shops. So I added in my my small vases, which aren't quite mini size, but they're still quite small. And I thought if I get a good amount of orders, it's okay. I can still get these out the door within a good time frame. Wow. I got so many orders for these small vases that my turnaround time that I said at the trade show was 2 to 3 weeks. We're now at 3.5 weeks and I've still got quite a lot of ceramics to make. So that's a con when it's a handmade business. You're not just ordering your products in from China and then picking and packing and sending those lovely orders out. Or even like with my greeting cards, I design the greeting cards and I have them printed locally in Australia. They're much easier to pick and ship in the right time frame because you're not physically manufacturing the product yourself. Whereas things like these, I have to make them myself. I have got a studio assistant, but it's still quite a time-consuming process. So you have to really think, is doing wholesale, is getting a heap of orders for the product that you make actually going to ruin the love of making that product for you? You have to be really careful about this. You don't want to end up hating what you're doing, because what will happen then is what happened with me and my wheat bags. I was like, I'm an artist and I'm not making any art. I'm sitting at my sewing machine for 10 hours a day and I'm not enjoying this. And I ended up really burning out from that and just ending it up. I just quit the whole thing and stopped making products. So that's a shame because I had some really amazing stockists who I loved. I was in quite a few shops all over Australia and I'm very aware of not letting that happen with me this time around. So I'm just very closely monitoring what I'm offering wholesale. So yeah, that can be a con, having to produce a lot quickly to get your orders out. For me, now that I've got these stockists, I'm really focusing on my current stockists, and then I'm going to focus on getting stock on the shelf so I'm not having to make as orders come in. I've actually got quite a bit of stock that'll be sitting on the shelves that I can just pick and pack, send the orders out, and then get new stockists. So that's the goal with me. And that's doable with a handmade business. Obviously, you just have to know how much time things take to make, how much they cost, etc. And that's what we're going to get into next, the cost. To succeed in wholesale, the biggest thing I believe, and I'm no expert, I'm still learning and on the journey, but you have to get your prices right. If you don't have enough profit margin in your pricing, it's just not worth it. You become this factory where you're making, but you're not actually making any money out of it. So how I have worked out my cost of goods, because obviously with greeting cards or even these keychains, which I don't make these myself, I order them in and get them manufactured. I know how much the cost of good is for that. With the ceramics, however, I'm hand making them. Now, with these little mini mushrooms, they don't take a long time at all, but they vary. Each one's a little bit different in time. So what I do is I'll make 10 and time how long it takes to make 10 and then divide that time by 10. So these basically end up taking me a minute to make, but then I also obviously have to underglaze them, which is just painting the underglaze and then glaze them. So that takes another 2 minutes. So up to 3 minutes for my time to make that. And I charge my production time out at $30 an hour. So different parts of my business, I'll actually charge my personal time out at different rates. For production, it's quite low. It's just kind of almost just above minimum wage and it's $30. Whereas other things that I do in my business, I'll work out my time, like running workshops, I charge my time out at a higher rate. I've worked out, I literally just put into ChatGPT this morning, I said, tell me how much it costs to make one mini mushroom. I said, it takes me a minute to make, 2 minutes to glaze it. I get 1,000 mini mushrooms out of a block of clay that costs me this much. It cost me $13 a kilo for both firings each, so it's $26 a kilo for firing. The block of clay weighs 10 kilos, so it's working out exactly how much each little mini mushroom makes. And it came back to me and said my cost of making, now it's not exact, but it's pretty close, is around $1.90 per mini mushroom. Now, I'm going to tell you, I wholesale these mini mushrooms for more than double that. So that's good because you want at least a 50% margin from your cost to make, including your time, to what you're wholesaling. And then with my retail price, I then double that as well. So I sell these retail for $12 and I have a good amount of margin that when I offer them wholesale, my wholesale customers can double what they pay and then still be around the same price as what I'm selling them for. Now, if you're trying to wholesale to shops, not a lot of shops are going to take your products on if you can't give them a 100% markup, because they need to make money. Like, I'm selling these retail for $12, and although they're only costing me just under $2 to make, that $10 is not all profit giving into my bank account, like riding off into the sunset. That contributes to my studio rent, my petrol, market fees, other ongoing admin costs that occur every month regardless of what I sell, like subscriptions and all that sort of thing, paying my wage. So you have to have a really good margin so that you can then get some profit, as well as having to pay your everyday expenses as well. I hope that makes sense. That was a lot. And honestly, if you can't get a margin enough from, if you're selling a product and you're thinking about wholesaling it, but there's not a big enough margin in between what it costs you to produce to what you retail it for, to then have a wholesale price in the middle there, it's really not worth doing. You really have to make it worthwhile for yourself and for potential shops who want to take your product on. I do know of some rare cases where if the shop's supporting little handmade businesses, they will sometimes take less markup. So maybe the maker or the artist says, I'll give you 30% discount or 40% discount of what my retail price is. Occasionally that will happen. Also for original art, that's quite common, because obviously to reduce an original art by half and then them having to mark it up is a lot. So shops do often do just like a 30% commission on art, but that's a rare thing. You also want to set a minimum order value. Now, a lot of people who wholesale have a minimum order value of sort of anywhere from 200, 250 to 500. Sometimes a lot of the bigger companies want you to do $1,000 order for your first order, and that way it just gets rid of any non-serious buyers. I actually had a really low minimum order at Life and Style, which was $100. And the reason I had such a low one is because I do have quite a few small things like the mini mushrooms. I've got my stickers, my greeting cards. So I had a really low minimum. I am considering increasing that though, because $100, I mean, for me it's all right, because I don't want to have to make heaps of like gazillions of these at once for new orders. So I don't mind if they're dipping their toes and only ordering 6 of each mushroom and then a few of stickers and greeting cards. But I'm probably going to increase it to 150, just because you do need to make, they are getting a really good price on your product. So you need to make it worthwhile. And also you do need to vet who you're going to accept as a stockist. You don't just take anybody off the street as a wholesale client. You need to make sure that suburb wise, they're not too close to each other, because if you accept multiple stockists from the one location, that can get really messy. And you're really not showing any loyalty to your existing stockist. So for instance, if I have a stockist in Mornington, I'm not going to have a second stockist in Mornington unless they're in a completely different part, because I know this suburb quite well. If say someone was in the industrial estate and someone was in Main Street, then I'd consider it. Or if someone just wanted to sell this type of product and then someone just wanted to sell this product and they're not selling the same product, then I'd consider it as well. But you really need to be mindful about not oversaturating the market with your products in a small confined space. And then if you do want to give wholesale a go, I would probably suggest starting with a small range, so you're not going to overwhelm yourself. You do a trade show, for instance, like I did, and you get a really amazing response and get heaps of orders. You're not sitting here going, oh my gosh, I've got so many orders to make. So maybe just dip your toes in with a few collections. You could reach out to shops directly. You definitely don't have to do a trade show, which is a massive expense. It depends on your personality. I think I love a trade show because it brings everyone to me, whereas I'm not that great at going out and approaching shops. I'm fine. I used to actually be a sales rep for a few years where I did it for other businesses as well as my own. I was great at selling other people's product, terrible at trying to sell my own. So look at what your strengths are. I'm also considering putting on a sales rep, which would be probably around a 15% commission, and they already have relationships with lots of different shops. So that's much easier to sell your wares wholesale. I've also just set up on my website a whole separate section for wholesale. I have a Shopify store. I've gone with an app called Wholesale Gorilla, and I upgraded because the features on the very light version weren't what I needed. So I'm going to be paying about $100 a month. However, I'm anticipating getting a couple of $1,000s a month through that website from my wholesale customers who need to log in, apply for an account, and then they see the prices at the wholesale rate. A lot of people nowadays sell on Fair, which is a wholesale platform. It's kind of like Etsy, but just for wholesale. The only thing with Fair is, though, they take quite a big percentage. I think I haven't sold anything on there for a while, but I believe it's around 20%. I could be wrong. I need to confirm that. So that's a good platform, though, because a lot of shops are going there to look for products. So I've actually if you have a Shopify store, you can actually sync your products to Fair, and it will just it will take 50% off your Shopify prices. So potentially a good way to start if you have got enough margin in your product to absorb Fair's fees, though. They also do pay the shipping, I believe, from memory. I really need to look at that, but maybe I'll do a whole video on what platforms to go with. Yeah, so that's wholesale. I love wholesale. Doing this trade show, this Life and Style trade show, really reminded me just how much I love wholesale. I love interacting with shop owners or buyers. I love seeing my products in stores. I love hearing from people, oh, I saw your stuff in this shop, in this suburb or this town or whatever. It's really cool. But yeah, you do have to be mindful about, like I said, if you're a maker, that you actually are not going to burn yourself out because you get so many orders that you don't have time to make the products. I'm not at that stage yet, but it's stressful because I've taken a lot of orders. What I should have done at the trade show on the Friday at lunchtime, when I realized I was getting quite a few ceramic orders, I actually should have said to the potential shops before they put their order in after lunch on Friday that it was a 4 to 6 week turnaround time, not 2 to 3 weeks, because that would probably have given myself a lot more relaxation around getting these products made. But it's okay, we'll get there. We learn from our mistakes. Next trade show, I'm going to make sure I've got heaps of stock already made, and then I'm going to keep track of what products I sell, how many of those products I sell, and then if I do get to a point, I'm going to start telling the other people that have the orders come in on the later days of the trade show that the turnaround time is going to be 4 to 6 weeks, not 2 to 3 weeks. Let's talk line sheets. A line sheet is your wholesale price list. I make my line sheet in Canva. I have done so for years. I did watch a YouTube tutorial on how to do it way back when. I am just going to give you a little quick sneaky peek, and I'm also going to give you a link to my Canva line sheet without all of my products and pricing. I'm going to give it to you as a blank template that has some images and some words that will help you get started, that you can simply copy and then you can edit. So you can view the file and then you can copy it. Then the version that you copy, you should be able to go in and edit it so you can add some of your own products and see if it works for you. So let's have a look at that now. Okay, so I've just kind of made a copy of my line sheet. The first page on my line sheet, I just have some product images. So these little frames here, you literally just upload some images to uploads. So you can go in there and upload a file, and then you can click on that. It comes over here and you literally just move it into the box you want and it goes into that box. So you don't have to use that, but that's how I've created my cover page, and then it's just got wholesale price list, which obviously you'd probably want to create your own with that as well. To remove that, you just click that. And then I've got down here minimum ordering. I mean, this line sheet obviously is not super professional looking, but it did the job for me. And then I've just got some pages with some pre-filled out. This one is greeting cards. So I put what the product is, how many minimum per design they have to order, a little description, the wholesale price, the recommended retail price. Then down here, let's get that bigger. I've just left my SKUs. So SKUs are product number or code, a product code. I don't actually know what the SKU stands for, but it's basically a product. Every single different product has its own SKU. So you can make your own up. Mine's just greeting card, floral folklore 1. So that's why I've got GCFF1, and then I would say floral folklore 1 for that greeting card. But you could make your own, and you can change the shape of that to something different, and you can copy. If you want to copy, you just click on whatever you want to copy and then click on the double tap. I'm not going to give you a full line sheet like tutorial, but if you want one of those, pop it in the comments and we can always do one. Then this is for the page for my square cards, but you could put it anything. You could even get rid of some of those and then make these bigger. So you could make them bigger. There's so many. Canva's really great. It's very customizable. And then I've just got a page 3, which is where I have my art stickers. Then page 4, it's a bit different because I have my different ceramic items. So yeah, that's just a little 4-page. You can copy pages. So you can literally go up here to the top of the page and click that, and that will just copy that previous page. We'll just delete that. Or you can add a new page and start from scratch, and you can go to elements over here and you can say frame, which is just the easiest way to get your images looking all the same size. So, and there's heaps of different frames to choose from. I think keep it simple. I wouldn't go with borders and things. It just gets too cluttered. So just keep it as simple, as minimalist as you can. Yeah, so that's that. I'm going to link in the description of this video a link to this file that you will then need to, I believe you will then need to copy, and then you can edit your own downloaded, like copied version of that. I've just asked my magical AI friends how you can edit your own. So what it basically says is you'll click on the link, open the link. In the top right corner, you'll see a button that says use template, or sometimes it says customize this template. Click that, and then Canva will automatically make a copy into your own Canva account. So you'll have to have your own Canva account set up. You can just have a free account, that's fine. They can then edit that copy however they like without affecting your original. So I may have used some fonts and stuff that are in the premium because I have the paid Canva. I believe it just changes it back to a free font if I've used paid fonts. So yeah, you should be able to have a little play with that if you want though. But yeah, let me know down below if you would like me to do a full on tutorial on how to set up a line sheet in Canva. So Wholesale has its pros and cons. The question you need to ask, is it right for you? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know if you've tried Wholesale in your business and it was no good, or if you're keen to give it a go but just not sure what the first step is to take. I'd love to hear more about your story. Next video will be my Paper Craft Festival vlog. I am jumping headfirst back into art and craft supply fairs, which is something I did years and years and years ago. I'm really overcommitted myself, which if you've watched my videos is no freaking surprise. I'm going to bump in tomorrow for this one in Moonee Ponds, which is a 3-day event. I only know about half the products I'm selling. Okay, I'm not going to go into it. Okay. It's going to be a great vlog. Let's just say that. It's going to be really interesting to see how it goes. And then it's kind of like my preview to the Craft and Quilt Fair, which is the following week for a 4-day craft fair. So yay! Nothing like a pending deadline to get me making products. Have a good day. Thanks for watching.